Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barakaha Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. And these are some of the end-time signs Yahawashi HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, told his disciples to look for, to know that his second coming was nigh, and that the end of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites or the so-called white people today, was at hand, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven, where the true children of Israel, who you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans would be ruling in for eternity. And while Yahawashi was speaking to his disciples in the past directly, he was really mainly talking to his disciples today who are living in these times. As it says in Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. But this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, race wars, and kingdom against kingdom, countries going against each other, world wars, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And if you have that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see that these end time signs are in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. And as it says in verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. We're just in the beginning stages of these end times prophecies. And as we get closer and closer to the second coming of Yahawashi, these prophecies and end times judgments are going to become more deadly, and many more people are going to die off. But in this video, I'll be dealing with the famines Yahawashi spoke about. This is an article from the economiccollapseblog.com titled, China is feverishly preparing for the coming global famine, but the U.S. is taking a completely different approach. And as we'll see in this article, with each passing day, we're getting closer and closer to these major famines, where many people from one end of the earth, even unto the other, are going to die of starvation. And in the midst of that, people are going to revert to a very animalistic state and begin attacking each other to get their hands on whatever food they can. We live at a time when global food supplies are getting tighter and tighter, and global food prices just keep going higher and higher. Bizarre weather patterns and widespread natural disasters have been playing havoc with food production all over the planet, and the situation number after 18 situation, we have to speak in codes because of YouTube's algorithms, has thrown worldwide supply chains into a state of complete and utter chaos. And a lot of that was by design. The elites want to squeeze the people and get them desperate to more easily accept their NW0, the GREAT RESET, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which a lot of that is going to be predicated upon the mandatory implementation of the MOTB, the Charagma in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 17, the MICROCHIPIMPLANT. As a result, the world is currently battling the worst hunger crisis this century, and it is expected to get even worse in 2022. And a couple of years ago, you had the head of the UN World Food Program say that over the next couple of years, they expect close to 300 million people globally to be on the verge of starvation. And many people are already on the verge of starvation in a lot of these third world countries. Of course, this is just the beginning of sorrows. For a very long time, I've been warning that global trends indicate that we are heading towards a horrifying global famine, and that it is just one of the reasons why I have been relentlessly encouraging my readers to get prepared while they still can. But since the beginning, the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi, chiefly through his prophets, have been warning you people mainly you Israelites, of the terrible times to come, the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai during the last seconds of these last days, which includes these horrific global famines. Whether it be man-made from the elites squeezing the people to bring about their NW0, natural occurring disasters, you name it, ultimately, it is through the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai to bring about judgment on you people for your wickedness. So like we always tell you, sincere Akim and Akwat out there, you should be spending this time of liberty doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so you can hope to be of that elect number and be saved from these terrible calamities of Jacob's trouble, which are quickly coming. Apparently, the Chinese government can also see what is coming, because right now they are hoarding food on an unprecedented scale. Less than 20% of the world's population has managed to stockpile more than half of the globe's maize and other grains, leading to steep price increases across the planet and dropping more countries into famine. The hoarding is taking place in China. If everything is going to be just fine, why would China be doing this? It simply would not make sense. But if famine is on the way, the Chinese are being extremely prudent, and the amount of food that they are now stockpiling is definitely eye-popping. According to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, China is expected to have 69% of the globe's maize reserves in the first half of crop year 2022, 60% of its rice, and 51% of its wheat. If things hit the fan in 2022, which Abaratazah they do, or beyond, Chinese officials have ensured that their people are going to be able to eat. In fact, they are estimating that their wheat reserves could meet demand for 1.5 years. But this is all futile if you don't have that protective hedge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai over you. Hey, if you're not of that elect number, the only thing that's coming your way is judgment, death, pain, misery, starvation, etc., etc. China is maintaining its food stockpiles at a historically high level. Ken Yuwen, head of grain reserves at the National Food and Strategic Reserves Administration, told reporters in November, our wheat stockpiles can meet demand for 1.5 years, and we'll see about that. There is no problem whatsoever about the food supply. And you Moabites, which is the biblical name for the so-called Chinese, are going to get judgment from Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai as well. Again, unless you're of that elect number, nobody is escaping these calamities of Jacob's trouble that are quickly coming upon this planet. As it says in, I believe, 2nd Esdras 16, woe be unto thee, Asia. So what is the U.S. doing? Surely we must be stockpiling lots of food too, right? Sadly, we aren't. There were times in the past when the U.S. government stockpiled large amounts of food, but those programs have mostly been eliminated. The government has in the past stockpiled food, but these programs were mainly to support farmers hurt by low prices. For example, in the late 1970s and early 1980s, the Department of Agriculture, USDA, brought surplus dairy products, which it distributed to Americans via various welfare programs. At this point, the U.S. government does not anticipate that there will be a need to supply food to the entire country. The U.S. does have some commodities that it has purchased for aid programs, and there's a very limited amount of food, water, and generators at 8 widely scattered FEMA distribution centers. Today, the USDA still buys various commodities for both domestic and international food aid programs. It also maintains a vault in Fort Collins, Colorado, that houses thousands of plant species and genetic material of livestock in the event of a disaster. The SNS does not contain food reserves, but the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, stockpiles food, water, generators, and other resources in 8 distribution centers located in the United States and its territories. In the event of a major national emergency, the very limited amount of food that the U.S. government has on hand will be gone almost immediately. And to you U.S. citizens out there, don't expect the government to come and save you. The elites especially have you American citizens in their crosshairs for bringing about these orchestrated disasters, these famines, martial law, pestilences, you name it, to get you weak and starve you out so you won't put up a resistance, and again will be more easily susceptible to accepting their dictates for their NW0, the GREATRESET, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, that charagma, the MICROCHIPIMPLANT. Once it's gone, you will be on your own. I would suggest that you prepare accordingly. With each passing day, the price of food just continues to go even higher. According to a CNN report that was published in November, the global price of food has risen more than 30% over the past year. The FAO Food Price Index tracks monthly changes across a range of food commodities. The index has risen by more than 30% over the past year. Food prices are going to go even higher in 2022, and this is going to push millions of people around the globe into hunger and onto the verge of desperation, to where people will be fighting each other to get whatever they can get their hands on. But don't worry, because the elites in the Western world have a solution, and that solution is putting as many of you people to death as they possibly can, and for those remaining ones to be so beaten down that they'll be more easily susceptible to giving into their demands to become a part of this NW0. Let's say with this article, you get the point. But as we can clearly see, we're getting closer and closer to the famines that Yahushua spoke about in Matthew chapter 24. And like I've been saying throughout the video, many people from one end of the earth unto the other are going to die of starvation. And it's all the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua on you people for the wickedness you've been committing. Mainly, you Edomites, or so-called white people, that have turned most of this planet into a trash can and do everything clean contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, and 2/3 of the nation of Israel who are hard-headed and refuse to return under their power and want to live like these heathen nations. But now I'm going to jump to 2nd Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? And Esdras saw the times that we're going into, and even he said, who will deliver me in those days? Again, to you sincere Akim and Akwat out there, you better be doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, so you can be saved from these terrible judgments and calamities of Jacob's trouble that are quickly coming. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And we're seeing that right now. We're in the beginning of sorrows right now, with these different calamities beginning to come to pass, and you've got the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, warning you Israelites of the times to come and telling you heathens of the times to come. But the majority of you people continue to scoff and talk shit to us. Well, hey, soon there's going to be no more talking from Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai through his prophets. There's only going to be action through his judgments. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And victuals include not only food, but these other creature comforts that people have become accustomed to in this society. And hey, we're quickly seeing that these victuals are no longer being so cheap anymore. Prices for everything is starting to rise, and people are getting nervous. And just you people wait until hyperinflation really hits, and a gallon of milk costs $50. To get some gas, it'll cost you damn near $200 to fill up your tank. You get the point. Things are going to become increasingly unaffordable out here, and there will be an economic collapse where all this fiat currency out here will be worthless. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth. sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you don't have that protective hedge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai over you, if you somehow manage to escape the famines, you're only going to get knocked off by one of these other destructive calamities Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is bringing. Hey, you could get thrown into a concentration camp and tortured to death, get killed in these coming race wars, get killed during the state of martial law, civil wars, or just having your neighbors or people you used to consider friends breaking into your houses and taking whatever they can due to the lack of food out here. As it says in 2 Esdras chapter 15, verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And the modern day sword, especially in the United States of America, is that gun, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread or food, and for great tribulation, the calamities, the sorrows, the judgments of Jacob's trouble. And the dead shall be cast out as dung or shit, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. In that day, there's going to be so much death, destruction, misery, and dead bodies laying around that you're not going to give a second thought to them as you step over them. You're going to care about as much as those dead bodies as you care about that turd that you flushed down the toilet. But now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah chapter 9, verses 19 to 20 to really show you how bad these famines are going to be. Through the wrath of Yahweh of hosts is the land darkened. The people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall spoil their houses and destroy them with the force of the sword due to the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Listen to this. And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. There's going to be such a lack of food out here because of these famines that cannibalism is going to come back, and not just that, but people cannibalizing their own bodies. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. As you can clearly see, we're quickly coming into these times. So like I've been saying throughout the video to you sincere Akim and Akwath, right now, during this time of grace, you should be doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so you can hope to have that protective hedge over you and be saved from these calamities and judgments of Jacob's trouble. So as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.